mobility, densification, and globalisation. What do these have in common? Well, they're all topics explored during the master track of Urbanism at TU Delft. Drawing on the Dutch tradition of blending urban design, landscape architecture, spatial planning and engineering, this programme shapes the sustainable urban designer of the future. What does it mean to be a part of this programme? Who's it for? And where will you work? Let's get some answers from the people involved, starting with Master Coordinator Christel Albers. Can you tell us how the course is structured?
Sure. Our programme consists of 2 years. The first year is organised in 4 quarters. The second year is focusing on your graduation project. In year 1, the quarters provide a design studio and a parallel supportive course. And although design locations might be fixed, students are free to choose their own approach and define their personal research and design tasks. Throughout the first year, the possibility to adapt the programme to your needs, to become the type of urbanist you would like to be, is growing. The second year is focusing on your graduation project. With supportive courses and workshops, we are helping you to set up your individual, self-defined graduation project and find the studio and mentors you need in order to support your project. For all these projects, both in the first and the second year, a combination of different skills will be used. Projects will always be approached through these skills. When you enter a question from a regional perspective, you may want to answer this with solutions on a street scale and vice versa. So while designing and researching through those skills, you will come up with questions, with problems, but also with a way to find solutions. And in all these projects, both in the first and the second year, there is always a balance between research and design. Whether you start by researching the problem at stake and come up with a design solution, or you start by proposing different designs and research and evaluate impact, you always work in an iterative process of researching and designing. Checking that the questions you've come up with are the right ones, but also that the problems you initially identified are a real need that can be solved by an urbanist. So, this combination of research and design is really integrated in our program.
Thank you for that introduction, Christel. It's clear that a good urbanist lets the research and design inform each other, but what other qualities and skills are important? Alex Wandel, you're a teacher and mentor within the track. Can you tell us who would be a good fit for it?
Sure. Urbanists are endlessly curious and driven to make our cities better places for everyone, not just for a few lucky ones. We repeatedly research, design and assess different alternatives and scenarios for a sustainable and just future for our neighborhoods, cities and regions. Urbanists always work in a broader context and connect experts from different fields, from the traffic engineer to landscape architects, social workers, and above all, with people living in a place. Urbanists have a genuine interest in society's development. How do people use public space? How does their behavior change over time? How can they be invited to become the best version of themselves? As an urbanist, you must be a bit idealistic, at least a little bit. That is why we formulate these ideas, projects and solutions into policies and plans, so that they are transparent and provide certainty for individual and collective development.
That sounds great. Within the programme and in practice, you will face several challenges as an urbanist. Alex, could you mention a few of them and explain how we approach them as designers?
Well, migration for instance. All over the world, people are migrating towards cities. How can we provide affordable housing for everybody? How can people move sustainably within and between cities and have access to jobs, schools and parks? How do we design streets, neighborhoods, cities and regions that are accessible and enjoyable for a diverse population? How to adapt our cities to climate change? How to deal with the energy and circularity transition? And of course, what are the effects of new technologies?
That's a lot to explore. And how do we deal with these new technologies? Will data and ICT evolution change our behaviour in cities, in the streets?
Digitalization and interconnected communication and sensing technologies have enormously changed how we live and use our cities and landscape. Navigation and weather apps influence the paths and means of transport we choose. The ubiquity of fast and cheap internet connections allows many of us to study and work from everywhere.
Good points. And how does the digitalisation change the work of urbanists? And how are these tools used in our education?
digital 3D city models, store information about buildings, infrastructure and open spaces. With them, we calculate the solar potential on rooftops and facades, plan the design of energy grids and critical infrastructure, and model vegetation's effects on health, microclimate and biodiversity. We can investigate why some streets are lively and others are perceived as boring or dangerous. The data alone is of course not providing answers to these complex questions by itself. Therefore, you will also learn theories and methods to critically use, interpret and communicate the data in your design narratives.
Thank you, Alex. Urbanists certainly have their work cut out for them. But what does this look like in practice? Let's join Riens Dijkstra, partner in an urbanism design firm, in the streets. Riens, where are we?
We're standing in the middle of one of the busiest places in the city of The Hague, and it might surprise people that urbanists are looking for ways to make it even busier. And the reason that we are trying to make it happen in a place that already looks and feels really dense is because we are afraid of making cities sprawl out and grow outwards even more into the very little bit of green land and nature that we still have. We're trying to prevent that, and therefore one of the big challenges for urbanists is to find ways to make city centers really dense without losing quality for the people that will live and work there. With making places like this even denser, another challenge appears, which is how do we keep people moving? It is obvious also from studying other cities that are even bigger and denser than the Dutch cities that you cannot keep the car as the dominant mode of transport. It takes up too much space, it causes too much congestion. So the alternatives that we're looking for are high quality public transport, but more and more also what we call small electric mobility. And on top of that, we actually would like people to get back to the habit of walking a bit more, which on top of being a nice way of perceiving the city is also a very healthy one.
Valid point, Riens. Now let's head back to the TU Delft campus, where we will find Marjolein van Es, researcher and coordinator within the track. Marjolein, can you tell us, what are the other challenges?
How do you deal with the demands for energy in the beyond oil era and the energy transition? How about environmental issues and health? How to adapt to climate change with heavy rainfall or drought and a different ecology in the future? Here at the Green Village, located at the TU Delft campus, researchers, students, startups, entrepreneurs and governments together work on exactly these challenges. For example, how to supply and store new energy carriers such as heat and hydrogen, how to construct water buffering streets, and, coming this summer, here on the Heat Square, how to design public spaces to decrease heat stress. In these innovations, technology and design play an important role, but attention is also given to economical, social, and policy challenges. Such an integrated approach to current and future societal and environmental challenges is also at the core of the second quarter of the Urbanism Master. In both the design studio, as well as the accompanying course Sustainable Engineering of Territory, we focus on the city as a technical construction, where the natural and man-made conditions of the urban landscape are integrated through design and engineering to promote livability and environmentally sustainable development.
That's an impressive range of topics. Thanks, Marjolein. Let's join Birgit Hausleitner, coordinator and teacher of one of our courses at the faculty, to find out more. Birgit, with so much to explore, how do students actually experience our programme?
Well, that's not something for me to answer, since I'm not a student. So I would like to invite you to watch the video on our website created by and with students and alumni of our programme. This gives you an insight into how students experience our program or how they look back on our program while they are alumni now. So after successfully finishing the Urbanism program, you have worked on several research and design assignments, have become acquainted with a range of didactical forms, have worked through the scales, and you have successfully completed a graduation project on the topic that you were most curious about.
Thanks for shining a light on that, Birgit. But what about life after graduation? What are the possibilities for alumni? Well, students can choose from a wide variety of jobs. Some become urban designers or planners at design offices. Some work at a municipality or governmental agency. Others end up as academics, researchers, or urban advisors. And some choose completely different paths. It's a world of possibilities. Projects you will be working on can focus on landscape or city infrastructure. They can range from small to large scale. Be object or strategy orientated, and everything in between. Does this seem like something for you? Is your heart beating faster already?
If you are able to answer this question by now, and the answer is yes, that's great. We hope to see you next year or a year later. If you're not sure yet, I would like to give you some extra information. For example, through the website of the TU Delft or by contacting Polis, the Student Association of the Urbanism, as well as the Landscape Architecture track. Or visit one of our master events. I hope you gained enough information to make a good choice for your future studies. And whether this is urbanism or something else.